Joining me, Pennsylvania Senators Dave McCormick and John Fetterman. Pennsylvania, by the way, is one of only 3 states with a Democrat and Republican split in the U.S. Senate. Senators, thanks for being here. You all called me. Usually we reach out. You wanted to do this together. Yeah. Why?
Well, I mean, we thought it was just a great idea. I think it's an important idea right now. I mean, the trauma after the Charlie Kirk assassination, and now as things continue now, it's like I feel like it's important that people can witness, a Democrat and a Republican having a conversation after this. It's absolutely horrific, and it's entirely necessary to allow people to grieve for that. I mean, everyone's seen the video, and so.
Yeah, just the heartbreak you feel for Charlie Kirk's family, Eric and their children, and all the students across the country, the people across the country that were huge followers. And I think the senator and I agreed and we do agree that there's just no place in this country for political violence. It's absolutely something. It runs counter to the very idea of free speech and freedom, and that when you see dangerous rhetoric like fascist and Nazism and authoritarianism, and the end of democracy. That's a permission. That takes us down a path where the inevitable next step is violence, and that's what we see.
And Senator Fetterman, you've talked about that recently, calling somebody Hitler, calling somebody Nazis.
Exactly, this idea. It's like, do not ever compare anyone to Hitler. If not, go online and you can read up on exactly what he's responsible for. 75 to 80 million lives lost in World War II, and you don't compare him to anyone. And if you do, then you will incite somebody to say, well, now I feel like I have to stop that and take them out. People have seemed to have forgotten that the president took a shot to the head. And can you imagine if that shot would have gone the way Charlie Kirk's one, and what kind of condition our nation would be in? This is such a dangerous time right now. And now why? You don't need this an opportunity to share your opinions on it. Just, again, it's appalling, and allow folks enough space to grieve. The man hasn't even been buried yet. And it's like, that's why we wanted to have a conversation, that we have to find a way to work together.
Do you think that when you look out at some on the left, and especially the far left, in reaction to this moment, you've spoken out about that?
Well, I mean, I'm consistent about that. Any kinds of extreme rhetoric, left or right, is really dangerous. And now it's just Luigi had his latest thing, and now there's people on the very left on my side cheering him, and raised over $1 million for his legal fund. It's like, this coward executed a father and a businessman just because you happen to disagree with his business. Now that's, keep having these kinds of arguments. Well, guess what? The next one's going to be on you, and you'll end up on the sidewalk. Then we have to it's just unacceptable, and we have to just absolutely turn the heat down.
So there is this balance of speech and how far you go and what you cancel or take off the table. But in our country, free speech is protected.
Well, for me, it's like, don't ever compare someone to Hitler, or make an argument that, someone here is an equivalent of Hitler. Or if you're going to call someone a fascist, or these kinds of extreme labels, now you are cheapening our language and making it seem now these very specific kinds of terms. And now I get hit for just to say, like, look, you can criticize the president's, and I do, certain policies and these things. I don't disagree with these things. I vote against these things. But that does not, and I'm not going to use and engage in that kinds of extreme thing. And yes, it's free speech, but free speech, there comes a responsibility, because that could lead to some kinds of outcomes that someone can get dead or attacked, and that's absolutely unacceptable. And that's why we want to have this conversation, because we have to work together, and we have to find a way together. And Pennsylvania is the kind of state that keeps you honest on that. And you can't pretend that our neighbor and our other neighbor could have voted differently and have different values. That doesn't mean that they love our country any more than we do. We all love our country. I believe that we're all Americans, and we have to disagree, but in a nice way.
What do you think spurs on this political violence? Do you think, I talked to Governor Cox from Utah, and he said social media has gone into dark places. What do you think is behind this?
I personally think you have to get to the very root cause, and I think the root cause is what the senator was just speaking of. If you dehumanize your adversary, if you say they're Hitler, you say it's fascism, if you say that the end of democracy is right in front of us, then that lays open the possibility that, well, that's something that you have to confront. That's an evil that justifies violence. So I think that's the core problem. Now, I think social media has the capacity to amplify that, so it creates an echo chamber. But I think at the core is this basic fundamental thing that is core to America. It's what Charlie Kirk said, is what the senator said, which is the ability to disagree with your adversary, but not hate them, not make them the enemy, is at the core of America. And listen, we're in a state where half the people voted for me, half didn't. We're very, very divided as a state. I get horrible things said about me on social media, so does Senator Fetterman. We got to get above that as a country. And the first step is, I think, stopping this kind of hijacking the language and inciting political violence.